what would you say makes ISOACOUSTICS unique in the market? Well, thank you very much, Sean, for taking the time to meet with me today.
Happy to meet.
Now, I understand that you work for ISOACOUSTICS and you're in charge of the marketing, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you just talk a little bit about your role at ISOACOUSTICS.
Sure,
first.
yeah. So we're a small company, so we do wear a lot of hats, but I'm in charge of basically the marketing. Actually, a big thing to mention is our product selector on our website. It's kind of been an important tool for us. Okay. As we've developed new products, it's almost become a little bit challenging and confusing for customers to determine what is the right ISOACOUSTICS product for their specific, speaker or turntable or component.
I use that. So in my listening room, I have the focal Scalas and Utopia Scalas, and I went on the website selector, chose the website selection, and then called your dealer in China. So,
awesome. Yeah. So we've, believe it or not, got over 5,000 makes and models in there. Yeah. Because really it ranges from floor standing speakers to, we're actually quite popular in pro audio as well. Okay. So, near field studio monitors, all that range. You can choose your application, choose your make and model. It'll make a recommendation, if it's the Gaias, what's the thread size, just, because our products work over specific weight ranges. Yeah. So narrowing down for the consumer, which model is recommended so that they can get the best result.
Okay. So what would you say makes ISOACOUSTICS unique in the market?
Well, a great question. I would say really it's, I think that we're a good result for the price as well. I mean, we try to keep the price very competitive, but at the same time, the difference that the product makes is so obvious, which is why our demo is quite an attraction at a show, because we're switching back and forwards. People are sitting in the sweet spot, and the response we get is, wow. So it's, I think it's that our patented technology makes quite a difference there. Top and bottom isolator, the connector, the way the parts work together. It's just very effective. And so the key to our success, though, it's not the marketing. It's really word of mouth. One happy customer results in 5 more as they tell their friends and are enthusiastic about the product.
So one thing I noticed when I measured before and after putting your ISOACOUSTICS on the footers of my focal Scalas was that basically it seemed like that there was just less issues with the low frequencies, and the mid and high frequency bands were a little bit more level. Oh, yeah. Can you just talk about how it does that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, through the low end, it becomes really tighter, less muddy. You can put a solid speaker on the floor, and there's a few problems that we're dealing with. What everyone thinks about is the vibrations. They resonate through the floor, they excite the floor. Vibrations travel through a solid surface, a hardwood floor 12 times faster than it travels through the air. It travels very efficiently and quickly to annoys your neighbors. It causes your floors, your walls to rattle. That's what everyone thinks about with isolation. So obviously we help there, but vibrations, they also hit the floor and they come back as well. We're absorbing that energy. Okay. We test using a laser vibrometer, also do our testing at the National Research Council of Canada. So we're eliminating the problems associated with that. When you have these issues, the smear that replicates in 2 channels, hopefully what you'll notice too when you sit in the sweet spot, switching back and forwards, is really the sound stage can open up. The positioning of the instruments becomes a little bit cleaner, more obvious. But then there's that clarity and detail, and low end. Low end is, people often say it sounds less muddy. It's tighter. So.
Can I take a look at this?
Please, yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of the footers here, and as you can see, the bottom kind of moves a little bit. It's a bit flexible, and it's a bit of a rubber bottom. Can you explain how this does what you just said?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the patented design is basically there's a top isolator, a bottom isolator, and a connector. So it's really the material that we use, the properties of the material, the viscoelastic property, the durometer, so the hardness. What's also very important is the shape of it as well, and it's really the way that the 3 parts work together. So technically we're absorbing this vibration. We talked about those vibrations that reflect back. People think that spikes, it's shaped like a diode, it must drain the vibration, but it's not, and which is really kind of covered on the technical information on our website there. So we're absorbing that energy, dissipated at small amounts of heat, and that's basically our patented design. There's kind of a suction cup shape on the bottom, so it kind of connects to your floor there, and all that energy is managed by the internal isolator.
And then also you can put these things under the equipment, right? So under the equipment, you also put them. Now, how does that affect like equipment? Like let's say you put your DAC on it, or you put your amplifier on it.
Yeah, no, components can be very sensitive as well. Yeah, absolutely. So, the clock inside, the mechanisms, they're all sensitive to these vibrations. I mean, with a tube amp, it's quite obvious as well. I mean, and we all understand why, and turntables as well. But it really does make a difference. And again, the feedback we get from our customers has always been very positive. Yeah.
I suppose another thing I'm always interested in, because I do room design, right? And so obviously you're doing acoustics, isolation, and I'm just kind of wondering what in your opinion, what do you think the impact on the room is on the sound?
Oh, the room itself.
Yeah.
Oh, the room, it has an enormous impact on the sound. It is a separate part of the equation, but a hugely important part of the equation. That's what makes audio so interesting. Is you can do so much to really get the most out of your room, out of your sound. So having the right amount of diffusion, absorption, can make a night and day difference. Absolutely. I mean, my room at home was just treated recently, and it's just the sound is completely different for the better.
So you have a well-treated room, and then you also use your ISOACOUSTICS products in that room. How do they work in synergy?
Yeah. So, treating the room properly, eliminating, those first reflections, just also that bass, that sound's kind of not resonating, when you clap, it's not echoing. Yeah. That really helps with your clarity, with, we should talk about kind of the spatial aspect of it as well. With audio, that's such an important thing. Having your speakers positioned correctly and taking the room out of the equation so that these first reflections are not ruining the timing really helps with kind of creating a three-dimensional sound, so you can listen and properly place the instruments and where the vocal is, where the singer is, and so on, which really plays into also what our product does. So they kind of solve different problems, but these are both hugely important things that need to be optimized to get the best sound.
So I noticed that your product also can work on carpet. They work on hard floor.
Yeah.
So do you mind just talking a little bit about the different surfaces that ISOACOUSTICS work on and how that might impact the sound?
Yeah. So we're conveniently, I guess, sitting in front of some Sopra speakers here. We're on a carpet, and in this example, we're using our carpet discs. Yeah. So, you can put this on a very soft carpet. Yeah. But to get best results, we have carpet discs, and basically it's a disc with some spikes that just give you a solid connection in the floor below, because you don't want to be putting the isolator on a soft carpet. I mean, the idea, we have a suction cup here, so we're basically connecting to the solid surface. In that way, like I mentioned before, is that energy is really managed by the internal isolator. So we want to be on a solid surface. So there's all sorts of different types of flooring, and this is a common question we get, and it's a great question. So, does it make a difference if you're on carpet, if you're on concrete? They think it's dead, but there's that secondary reflection as well, right? So, if you're on a concrete floor, maybe your neighbor's not going to be annoyed as much, but are you getting the best sound quality from your speaker? Where the vibrations hit the ground and they come back. So it really makes a difference regardless of the flooring.
In your experience, do you have a preference when you're, listening room to a carpeted floor versus a hard floor, hardwood or tile floor?
Yeah, I like carpeted flooring in my room. Like my room has a carpeted floor, or even putting a rug down, and I think it's those reflections again. But just because there's a little bit of absorption there. So, but the walls and the ceiling, of course. It depends on the treatment you have elsewhere as well, because a room can sound too dead as well. So having the right amount of treatment, of course. But in general, just having kind of a carpeted floor can really help with those reflections off the floor.
Okay. And so maybe you could just talk about does ISOACOUSTICS have any plans for the future? Anything coming up that you guys are working on?
Yeah, we're always working on things. So stay tuned for that, because as we've been working with a growing number of manufacturers, you'll see a growing list of manufacturers coming out with new models that are actually using ISOACOUSTICS, building ISOACOUSTICS into their speakers. Martin was here today at the show, or is here on the weekend. They've got ISOACOUSTICS built into their speakers. PSB per listen, launching their new flagship model, that we've been working with them to, optimize and develop isolators for their speakers. So, that's certainly something we've been working on, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Fun.